Hello and welcome to the webinar for Cloud Print Enablement for every client. We will begin in about 30 seconds or so. We're just letting everybody click in and get all settled. Stay tuned. All right, let's go ahead and get kicked off. Hello and welcome to the webinar, Cloud Print Enablement for every client. As you guys know, the environment and how we work has forever changed in this post-COVID world, and we are here to talk a little bit about how you can enable cloud print inside of your organization. Let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. The first thing I'd just like to do is introduce myself. Hello, my name is Megan Lujan, and I will be doing a little bit of moderation for today's webinar. I will first get us kicked off with the print landscape and the market demand that we are seeing from our customers. Then I'll pass it along to Daryl Brown, who's our product marketing specialist for this output management space. And he'll give us an introduction to print management and what it means to have that, whether you're in an on-premises environment or in the cloud. And then we'll pass it over to Paul Hosey, who is our subject matter expert in the space of cloud printing. He'll talk about some of the traditional challenges that we've heard our customers are facing today with cloud print, as well as how to find the right fit for your organization. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing I'll do is I'll introduce a little bit about myself and give you some background. My team is responsible for managing the software and solutions portfolio at Toshiba HQ here in beautiful and very hot Southern California right now. And that basically means we are out there researching, talking to our customers, and trying to understand where the market is headed long-term in all of the areas that we manage in our software portfolio. So we dig into statistics, and we also meet with our customers and understand the market demand. And that's what I want to share a little bit with you guys before I pass it over to our experts. Now, most of you guys may know Toshiba is your guys' partner as it relates to document digital transformation. We help small to medium-sized organizations bridge the gap between this print and digital environment that we're all working in every single day through different applications that help you print smarter and also increase that office workflow automation in your organization. So kind of the whole digital transformation of paper to digital, that's where we kind of live and have good expertise. And the new normal has officially come upon us. It is really something that we're coining the great location flip. We know from how we work as well as how our customers work that the way we work, where we work, when we work, it is changing rapidly. I would say almost on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. But the basics apply. People want to be able to work anytime, any place, and really from any device. And that's the new normal that we're experiencing with our customers today. Now, we went out there and we did a little bit of research on how our products are used today and what value our customers are experiencing with our products. And some of these business drivers that we saw are people, they really want to be able to print when they're on this in-person or remote kind of collaboration environment. They feel that 81% of the time they are more focused and they're paying attention in meetings if they have printed copies of materials that are either being presented or discussed because they're following along in a paper form. They also find that they are 75% more productive because they're able to look at all of the content. So I would relate this back to being in a financial internal meeting at Toshiba, and I would want to scroll through and look at the various different numbers on the chart. And if I had it printed, I would be able to follow along a little bit easier than if I saw it up on the screen ahead of me. And then there is that less distracted. 75% believe that they are less likely to multitask if they have it printed in front of them, because otherwise they're going to jump on their computer or their tablet and take a look at, maybe upcoming notifications that we are all inundated with on a daily basis. So this is what our customers were telling us. They want to print because it's helping them become more focused, more productive, and less distracted. And then we started to ask our customers in the world of printing in all these different spaces that they live in, from education to financial services, government, healthcare, and legal, what are some of the things that they're looking to have that makes their kind of printing environment a little bit easier. And every one of them said printing remotely. Now that we are in kind of this hybrid environment, people want to be able to submit jobs from wherever they may be. Example, a teacher at home submitting jobs over the weekend and being able to access them in the office on Monday, right before class begins. Same thing from financial services, to be able to print these documents to various offices where they're meeting for, let's say, closings, etc. Healthcare, the ability to scan and print documents and print from any of the printers that they have access to, whether inside or outside of the network. And so we started to hear all of these trends. Customers want to print, but they're finding difficulty in being able to print. Now we dug in a little bit more and we said, what are our customers primarily printing? They're printing Word documents, spreadsheets, so office documents, right? And documents that still require some type of electron or physical signature, something that needs to be routed around through the organization. Then we asked, from a technical perspective, what are the business's top priorities relative to the printing environment that they're in, and what are their top concerns? Of their top concerns, print security was number one, digital transformation, and cloud platform. So all three of those are things that we are going to be focusing the majority of the rest of this webinar around. How to help you print easier, how to talk a little bit about print security, digital transformation, and then also what is cloud enablement? What are the cloud platforms out there? When we took all of these challenges together and we received all of the voice of field from our customers, which Paul is going to talk a little bit more about, we realized that as a company, our products out there today can create opportunities to help you solve these challenges. So whether you today are experiencing limited access and limited security, not knowing what printer you're able to connect to, having difficulty within the IT organization supporting a hybrid workforce, not having big IT infrastructure or resources to support kind of that print desk environment, or the cost to maintain these servers. So we took all of these and said, okay, how can we address this as Toshiba and help support our customers? And this is where we believe the market is saying that we need to focus our time and energy. And certainly you can give us feedback and let us know if you resonate with any of these by typing in the chat. The market is saying that people want to print anywhere at any time. And in order to be able to do that, we have to cloud enable people to print. The next one is hybrid work is here to stay. So businesses need to rethink their print security. So we've got to talk about security. We've got to make sure you understand what that means for you as a user and as the company on the IT side. And we also know that hybrid and remote workers can't print remotely today because they have some concerns, which is increasing or impacting their productivity. And that's something that we want to help address. So to help us do that and to dig a little bit more into some of the challenges with this traditional print environments, I'm going to pass it over to Paul Hosey, and he'll walk us through that. Paul?
Great, thanks, Megan. So let's take a look at some of the challenges that the traditional print environment has that some of you may be facing today as it stands. So some time ago, a print environment was relatively simple. There were some users, they had some computers, maybe some different operating systems, and then they had some printing devices. Now, the landscape has changed quite a bit over the past few years, because now we have a hybrid scenario that maybe we have some new workers coming into the workplace, maybe not 100% of the time, but when those folks arrive, they're going to need the capabilities to print on some of those devices. Now, when that happens, that could generate a call to the help desk. So that's one touch point that your IT department is going to have to support and help out with these users. Now, to go a step beyond that, we may have the traveling worker that maybe goes from different location to location, and it's going to also potentially generate another service call. Now we're up to 2 service calls throughout this organization, but now we have another layer of complexity of maybe we have some guest printing that comes into the environment, and that guest printing may require some other consideration aside from just printing. there's other security considerations and network security considerations that have to be taken into account to help those users be able to print. That may require an on-site IT visit. Now, another layer of complexity that we can add in is print drivers. Print drivers may need to be updated and modified from time to time and to be managed. And across multiple devices and multiple MFPs in your environment, that can be a real challenge for an IT department. Now, add that in with, printers and devices that maybe are calling for toner or have some error conditions, and maybe an MFP that's having some trouble. Now, we need to allow our users to be able to still keep printing and keep the business flowing, even though there's still some challenges in that environment. In this particular example, that's going to be really difficult. Now we bring in some other challenges, things like when we have print server maintenance that needs to be performed. That in itself can take down print infrastructure in the entire organization. That could be overnight, but it could still be during a mission critical time that documents still need to be printed and generated. And then we add in things like Windows Nightmare and ransomware and some different security vulnerabilities that we have to take into consideration, which brings in another layer of complexity and another layer of concern in that environment. All of these touch points all cost money in some way, shape, or form, and whether that's by expense in labor or by expense in hardware architecture and things along those lines. So there's going to be some significant cost involved in that traditional print environment. There's got to be a better way to be able to help out in some of these situations. So the reality is, it's from an end user perspective, it's really not easy. Printing can be challenging. If we look at a couple of examples, when a user is trying to find the right printer and the right device to print jobs to, they may be presented with something that looks similar to this, just a list of IP addresses, and not really know where each of those print jobs are ultimately going to. Managing print drivers and managing access by lists of IP addresses is really difficult for the end users to keep up with their workflow throughout the day. So that lack of flexibility to use the closest or the best printer can be a hindrance at times. Multiple setup steps might be in order to get an individual print device up and running. And printers that are tied to the network, but if you're a hybrid or if you are outside of the office, that again is going to cause some of those support calls to the help desk and to the IT department to help get those folks up and running the way that they need to be. Now, it's not a simple task for IT to manage this either. From an IT management standpoint, they're managing the printers, maybe the supplies, the drivers, and the print servers. So it really, just from a print perspective, some areas really have a 24/7 support desk that they need to manage and support for printing alone. Drivers need to be set up on each device and for each printer, and that in itself can be a complex nightmare depending on how many devices that you have and where these machines are placed. So there are some significant challenges for the IT folks that are involved in these organizations. This is also going to bring a significant burden to the budgetary constraints of an organization. You're really putting in place a single point of failure in a lot of these organizations, and you're limiting the scalability and how a print infrastructure can grow without having some good tools in place. So infrastructure and maintenance expenses can really add up. And again, all of this is going to burden your existing IT department, in some cases who are already stretched, and we don't want to add to that burden of what they do on a day-to-day basis. So in summary, some of these challenges, we really see these in a few different areas, and from a connectivity, a network connectivity, and whether that's inside or outside of an organization, the ease of printing for an end user to easily be able to locate the device that they want to print to and actually execute a print job against that. Maintain that security of the documents that are being printed out of really needs to be top of mind, because This is, in a lot of cases, can be very sensitive information that we might be printing on a paper document. And without having the right processes in place to secure that information, you could be opening yourself up to some risk. Also, from a waste standpoint, from an environmental perspective, we really want to try to eliminate some of that waste, but without some good tools in place, that's going to be really challenging. And then from a reporting perspective, without having some reporting, I don't know what good looks like. I don't know what's being done in my organization as it stands. So one of the tools that we use at Toshiba is our technology snapshot. And this is really a way that we can sit and have a conversation with you folks to determine and really help find some of the areas that are challenges in your organization. And then we can help use that as a tool to find the proper solution and to really find the right fit, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. I'm going to pass it off to Daryl Brown to give us kind of an overview on what print management really is. Daryl?
Hey, thank you, Paul. I really appreciate that. Yes, I'm in product marketing and I am output management. And I wanted to kind of go over some print management introduction material for you. And that kind of starts with our cloud versus on-premises. And there's a lot of differences here. So if you look at cloud versus on-premise, there's definitely a difference in cost. So when we're talking about cloud, there's not a lot of infrastructure there that costs a lot of money. But over on the on-premises side, you definitely have those costs, especially with print servers and all that infrastructure Paul was talking about. IT's got to be really involved in on-premises, where in cloud, there's minimal IT requirements. It's very streamlined and easy to use for IT. And when you have built-in security and compliance, that even further reduces the burden on IT from all those different failure points and tickets and things that IT has to deal with. And then it's expensive to keep maintenance on it and support, and time consuming. So there's a difference there. And we want customer satisfaction. We have a promise that our customer satisfaction is the top priority. So what we want to provide is, in a cloud print environment, is a personalized, simple user experience. So it's easy for people to print. Also, just what does good look like, right? Like Paul said, well, custom dashboard and reporting can show you that. So you can make data infused decisions, and you can also enable the print workforce that's working out there wherever, hybrid or in the field. They can take care of what they need to do very easily and securely print and release all the print jobs in a follow me manner in a secure fashion. So that's what good looks like. So really the IT standard is to ensure business continuity no matter what you're doing, and cloud is that standard. You increase the access and collaboration to all the information within the organization by going to cloud. It accelerates your innovation because things are simple. You're just able to print, you're able to collaborate, you're able to innovate. And you can reduce costs and IT burden, like we talked about. You increase insight and manageability and get alerts and things of that nature, as well as streamline your security through just one method, and that is through the cloud. Now, here's an interesting statistic. 67% of organizations say that a cloud-based model would provide a more secure print environment compared to on-premises print infrastructure. That's interesting because in the past, we probably wouldn't have thought that way. But that's a source from IDC recently, sponsored by our partner, PaperCut. Food for thought. So let's talk about the benefit of cloud printing. Like we talked about before, security. So the prints that you print go into your hands, thus being secure and compliant. You have the convenience to print to the devices that you're supposed to be able to print to. You're able to have cost savings because you don't have that heavy cost of print servers and things of that nature. You're able to also be nimble in the scalability and how you structure your cloud print environment very easily through scalability. And then you have the productivity where people just simply are able to print and print easily, and therefore they can get back to their core tasks of what they're really supposed to be doing. And then the environmental impact is great because you're not only printing probably less, but you're also using less supplies. You're using less paper, You're using less supply to the devices, you're using less electricity, and you're leaving less of an environmental impact like CO2 emissions and things of that nature. So why a cloud-based print enablement? Or first of all, it's fast to deploy. There's all these different directories that we have out here, and it'll keep up with that, and you'll be able to get up and running in a quick fashion. You have a very lightweight infrastructure to deal with. It's serverless. So you have the serverless managed print solution that requires, a universal driver, and that's it. You don't have to worry about a bunch of different drivers. And it's always up to date, patched, monitored, and secure because it's in the cloud. So we'll send it back to Paul for finding the right fit.
Thanks, Tara. So let's take a look at really what the difference is. We've talked about a couple of different terms so far today, from enablement and management, and let's look at some of the differences and how they really compare in some of these situations. So, a typical focus of a enablement versus a management application, and these aren't hard and fast rules. These are just some typical insights of what we come across. But from an enablement point of view, the typical organization is really a small to mid-sized business. Now, that SMB to small enterprise size business may have some additional requirements aside from enablement. So we do see those more in terms of the management solutions. But for the SMB space, enablement components and products work really well in these different cases. Now, from a feature set, one of the prime points that we're trying to accomplish is really to make printing accessible to their users. From a management component, it's not only in making that print accessible, but it also is, possibly having some advanced reporting requirements, or maybe there are some routing policies and cost saving policies that would be helpful in that organization. Again, those are some things that we typically see on a larger size organization. Now, from a user scope perspective, in that enablement component, you may put yourself in this camp where maybe you're using something like a no or a low cost identity management provider, something like Office 365 or Google Workspace. On the management side, typically there is a heavier investment in that identity management component or platform, and a lot of those customers and organizations are really looking to leverage that directory structure that's in place. That may be a better fit in a management application. And again, the goal of what we're trying to accomplish with an enablement, or what a typical SMB customer is trying to accomplish with this enablement perspective, is really to simplify and enable printing for your users. We want to make it as simple and easy for an end user to push a piece of paper out of one of those devices in a secure and a compliant manner. And again, on the management side, some other features that you might see in a management application would not only allow for that enablement, but then also provide some insight and some extra control in those different environments as well. So really, from a print enablement perspective, we're really trying to simplify printing in a radical new way. So it's really to meet the customer, or meet the end users of where they're at, of where they're working, whether that's in an office, out of an office, in and out in a hybrid role. But it's really to allow those users to easily print with a worry-free security perspective in mind. So let's take a look at some examples of some of the relevant markets that could really benefit from a print enablement solution. So some of the needs, some of the key points that we're really looking at is those basic needs, the basic print management needs, things like secure pull print, where I can send a print job and then it's held at a local repository, a cloud accessible repository, I should say, where many of these devices can then pull that document down from the cloud where it's held securely. We can enable things like activity logs and maintain that security and compliance that's really important in so many organizations. The print enablement really doesn't require a heavy IT infrastructure footprint. So if you find yourself that you have a minimal IT infrastructure and maybe you can't accommodate something like a big on-premise print management product, print enablement might be a really great way for you to look. All of these cloud products are really based on that cloud initiative. If you have those cloud initiatives to maybe eliminate print servers or move your computing out to that cloud, these are some great components and some great fits in those areas. And from whether you already have Toshiba equipment from us, or if you're a new customer in the market looking at some new Toshiba equipment, these applications can fit into both of those areas, as well as some RFPs that may be in play, where maybe you have a larger set of devices and you're looking to enable your users to print in a quick, efficient, and a secure manner. So let's take a look a little bit deeper into each of these markets. So for today, we're going to look at some K through 12 examples. We'll talk about some house of worship examples, some that small mid-sized business marketplace, and public and not-for-profit applications. Now in a K through 12 area, some of the things that are going to be important that print enablement can really successfully help with, you're going to find these in some of the smaller K through 12 school systems. So really a great fit when we're, again, trying to simplify that setup and the management of the environment. We want to make it really easy for users to print. We want to allow for an organized, centralized print environment. And we're really looking to reduce, if not eliminate, wasted and missing prints. There's nothing more frustrating than sending a print job and then going to the device to pick up your paper and someone already picked something up off the tray that was a very sensitive document. These are different problems that we can really eliminate. For a house of worship, to reduce that spend on the management of that printing environment is a win. Again, we're looking to simplify that printing process and then allow the end users, enable the end users to utilize the finishing options that are on those devices. So we really want to make sure that if you have that nice saddle stitch finisher attached to one of our Toshiba MFPs and you need to make booklets for this coming Sunday, we want to make sure that you're able to do that. We're going to organize printing with secure release. Make this process an easy point and print environment. And as an example, clergy or an administrator can print from their home and then pick up when they come into the office. Again, very common to have that hybrid scenario. Now, if we look at the SMB space, again, to reduce that cost of management for the printing environment, we still want to make sure that printing is robust, it's available and redundant across several different devices. Allow that follow me print capability to be able to walk up to any of these connected MFPs and then retrieve your print job. We want to enable a staff to securely release from any of these devices, and in some cases, maybe leverage an investment in proximity card readers that maybe you're utilizing today for your door access systems. As an example here, the creative department won't have any leaked prints, which can really damage a company's reputation or in some cases financial impact as well. And again, the administration and the accounting departments can get automatic reporting based on who's utilizing the MFPs and maybe to simplify and track what that expense looks like within the organization. Now, on the public sector and the not-for-profit, again, a common thread is to really reduce and fit an application to a cost-sensitive environment. Inexpensive printing that's available and redundant. We need to make sure that it's available for our end users when they need it. Security through that simple badge or that PIN authentication method. Sustainability goals met through efficient printing, and then the ability to report on some of those sustainability goals. Administrators and accounting can get reports for the device activity of what's being utilized on those devices. And a lot of these solutions are available on contract in a couple of different flavors. So if you're utilizing some of the great contract vehicles, these different solutions are available in those areas as well. Now, print enablement may not be the fit for everyone. In fact, in some cases, there are some examples where this really would not be the right solution for an organization. So if you do have needs like controlling how much print folks are doing within the organization, or if you're looking to integrate that print system or that output management system into another billing system, if it's a pay-for-print environment, or maybe if it's in enterprise and you have some mainframe print work that's going on, the enablement print components may not be enough to satisfy some of the goals that you have as an organization. In those cases, I really want to urge you to join our output management webinar that we're going to have on July 17th. On that call, we're going to go through some of the different capabilities of really what an output management system is and what the best output management systems can really deliver as to an organization. So thank you for your time today. I want to open it up to questions and answers, and I think Megan is going to help out to moderate some of those questions. All right, I see we have one question that came into the chat. How does CloudPrint use less paper? It's a fantastic question, actually. You know, in a lot of organizations, when I'm sitting at my desk and I hit file print, whatever I chose at my workstation is coming out of that device, whether I wanted to or not. So if I inadvertently selected, say, 500 pages of a 50-page print job that it should have been, that 500 pages is going to be printing at the device. When we enable something like a cloud print, follow me print queue, when I send that print job over to the device, and then I physically walk to the machine and log in and select that job that I want to print, it's going to show me on screen how many pages that print job actually is. Now, I would know that this really should only be a 50-page print job, but I printed 500 print pages in this particular job. That's a very common occurrence that happens throughout organizations. Having a cloud print management system in play would actually stop and allow the user to delete that job or change the quantity of what the proper prints should be for that particular job. That's really just one example. Another common example is abandoned prints, is that when I actually send something to print, but I really didn't need it in the first place, and that also gives me that stopgap to approach the device, authenticate at the machine, and say, well, I really don't need that print job anymore. I can delete it out of this queue. So those are just a couple of examples where we would see a significant reduction. Industry statistics say we really see about a 20% reduction in print output when we introduce something like a cloud print management system.
I love it. Those are great insights. All right, we're looking to see if there's any other questions in the Q&A pod. Let's see. I have one for Paul. Paul, what if you had to summarize what's the difference between cloud print enablement and print management? What would that be?
That's great. So, you know, cloud print enablement, the core goal of what I'm trying to accomplish is to facilitate printing for my users to make it as easy and seamless as possible. From an account management standpoint, as an organization, I may want to control and have additional insight into what's going on in that environment. So, for example, if one of my users prints to a high cost print device, I may want to route that print to a lower cost print device. Typically, it's something that we see in a larger organization, but it really is a clear differentiator of when we add that insight and control component to a management solution, as opposed to enabling print and making that easier for my end users to print.
That's great. And then I have one more question, and that's for Daryl. Daryl, it says for cloud printing, do you need to have an on-site print server or infrastructure?
No, that's one of the beautiful things about it. So if you have internet connectivity, you can connect to the cloud. I mean, just as we connect to so many different other cloud services, you don't need that.
Wonderful. All right. Well, it looks like we got through all the questions. I want to just say thank you so much for everybody who joined today's session. We hope that this was insightful for you and you learned a little bit between cloud print enablement and print management. And like Paul mentioned, we have another webinar in this series where we will be talking about more advanced functionality in the space of print management. Stay tuned for information on that on our social, and then we'll make sure to send you guys an email. So thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and thank you, Paul and Daryl, for joining us.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
Bye.